Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Unquestionably Raw NBA podcast. I'm your host, Matt Miller. We got Gonzo. We got Byron with us tonight. We had another basketball game tonight, Eastern Conference Finals. Yes, the Monstars did come out victorious in a, damn near a historic blowout. I mean, first half, it was the biggest lead, I think, in playoff history. Halftime lead, 41 points. No fight from the Boston Celtics. It looks like just laid down and died. I mean, the only guy out there that really impressed me once again, Jaylen Brown, did his thing. He's going to be a good basketball player. Gonzo, what's going on with Boston, man? I mean, one seed, obviously we all thought they weren't the one seed. Cleveland coasted. But, man, you lose by 44 points tonight. What's going on, man? It shouldn't be that bad.
I don't think Boston's a really good team. I think that number one seed and the 53 wins, I think that's kind of a deception. Let's just look at the first round of the playoffs. If Rondo didn't go down, they possibly could have been swept. You went 7 games with a Washington Wizards team who really didn't even use their bench, and they don't really have a great who really showed up maybe that entire series shooting wise. And that's Bradley Beal
and Otto Porter.
Otto Porter, he was kind of a hit and miss.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say he wasn't consistent in any of that series, but
no. But he was one of the better 3
for the series.
Yeah. The season,
Beal was more consistent. He had a couple of rough first 2 games, and I think after that he kind of got on the roll. Yeah. And that game 7, he showed up. So Boston is like they're not playing anybody, but they're not really beating anybody. It took an injury to Rondo, who's a non-shooting point guard, that pretty much brought about Chicago's demise. And like I said, they go in and pick on the Washington Wizards. They go 7 games. Now they're taking on the best team in the East. First of all, the Eastern Conference is really a collegiate division and a D-League division. The only pro team in that division is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Hey, what's funny? I on Twitter tonight when I was watching the game, I said this looks like a varsity team just destroying the JV in practice. That's what I saw today.
Yeah, it is bad. I mean, the Cavaliers 56.5% shooting, 48.7% from 3. Boston 37% from field goals, 29%. The only person that I can even give a pat on the back for Boston who was at least trying and showing effort, and he's showing no fear, and that's Jaylen Brown. He put up 19 and 4, 7 for 11 shooting. He's the only one with some heart on the team.
And he's what? And he's 19, maybe just turned 20. I'm not sure his exact age. And he's showing the most effort.
Yeah, absolutely. He's showing the most effort, and he put up numbers. He put up 19 points against the best team in the Eastern Conference.
Jaylen Brown is 20. Just throwing that out. He's 20.
Oh, 20. He put up 19 points and then shot 7 for 11. Like that's exceptional for a rookie going up against the best team. You couldn't get 17 points from any starter.
And we talked about it on what was that? When was game 1? Wednesday. We talked about it. You, Pete, and I all agreed Brown should have been the starter tonight. He goes with Gerald Green. We all thought Brown should have been the starter. I think he should have. And I want to give props to Byron here, because before the draft last year, it was Byron. I was talking to him. We were talking on the phone. He said Jaylen Brown is going to be that dude. Props to Byron. You were right about this guy. This kid's going to be fantastic, Byron. But but real quick, Byron, before you talk about Jaylen Brown, I got to ask you, man, how can if you're the Celtics, how can you let the Cavs? Should Isaiah Thomas have said the Cavs aren't the Monstars? Remember when Klay Thompson and Draymond Green went off on the Cavs last year? What happened when they made comments? What's Isaiah Thomas thinking?
He's not thinking. He's feeling himself right now. He's had a pretty good season, but I gotta go with Gonzo. He said the Celtics aren't a really good team. They're really not a number 1 seed.
No.
For all we know, the Cavs allow them to get there, so they have an easier ride to the finals, and they can rest, and they won't overexert and use too much energy. In addition to that, if they're in the Western Conference, there may be an 8 seed, 7 seed. You know what I mean? I have to go back.
I wouldn't say they're that bad. Boston would be I'd say Boston would be 6 in the West.
Oh, wow. I don't think they'd be better than Portland.
Ooh, Well, I don't know. I'm going to say 6. But other debate for another day. But continue, Byron.
But, I don't think that – I'm with Gonzo on that. I don't think they're just that great of a team. They're in the Western Conference. I picked Washington to beat them.
Yes.
I'm a little surprised that they're even in this they're still in this race. I think, well, if you want to call it that, they got blew out today. Looks like they ran out of gas. Looks like they're getting lapped in this race. I think Washington would have been a better. I mean, they would have gotten swept, but I think it would have just been a more exciting series.
They wouldn't have got beat by 44, is what you're saying.
Maybe, but I think I mean I didn't want John Wall's season to end. I still want to see John Wall. I think he's an exciting player. Now to Jaylen Brown, the thing with Jaylen Brown was this: I almost swallowed my words, because I really went and I scouted him. Like before the draft, everybody, you, Gonzo, Pete, y'all were talking. Y'all were making all these assessments and doing these analysis. And I was like, I need to do one of my own because if I'm going to continue on this podcast, I want to be knowledgeable. And I wanted to test if I really had an eye for talent because, we've talked about people who mentor me and their eye for talent. And I want to see if I had that gift too. So I just went and I looked at all the players in the draft and 2 guys, I knew Simmons was going to be good. Unfortunately, he got injured. But the other 2 guys that I was really, really, really looking at that stood out to me were Buddy and Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown was not only was he athletic, he's a very smart kid. That's the thing. Like he had the intelligence, like he had the maturity as well. I mean, he had the maturity that Byron Scott wishes that D'Angelo Russell had because maybe he'd still have a job, maybe not. But I mean, I like the fact that what he did as far as his like agent wise and everything the guy did coming in let me know that he was thinking longevity and he was thinking with a very, very mature, focused mindset. And it's no surprise to me that he's doing what he's doing because I knew that the talent level was there when I saw him. Not just being athletic. I think like there's a lot of guys that have a lot of natural abilities, like Monte Ellis, but he doesn't have the mindset or the intelligence or the basketball IQ.
And another thing you haven't mentioned yet, Byron. Jaylen Brown kind of has a man's body, if you will. Like he's built. And he's not just some skinny, lanky kid like Brandon Ingram.
Besides, he reminds me a lot of when I saw him. He reminded me a lot of Clyde Drexler and Ray Allen. That's what he reminded me.
Ray Allen. Why Ray Allen? Because we know Jaylen Brown's not the greatest shooter right now.
Not a shooter, but like his size and maybe even like should I say Isaiah Ryder?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe like even Isaiah Ryder. Like obviously he doesn't bang down low.
And let's be honest though, for those who don't know, Isaiah Ryder was a bad boy. He was just an idiot.
Exactly. I mean, like, well, I won't go to I never met the guy, so I won't go to that extent.
No, he was an idiot. Gonzo, tell everybody Isaiah Ryder was an idiot.
Yeah, he did a lot of dumb stuff.
But he could play. That's actually a really good comparison, Byron. I never really thought of that. And everybody knows if you know Isaiah Ryder, you know about the East Bay Funk dunk in the dunk contest.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think that those are my thoughts on Jaylen. He's definitely going to be an exciting player, and I don't want to jump ahead, but that makes this draft exciting because I mean Boston is going to be the team of the future if they get Fultz. I mean, with Fultz and Thomas and Jaylen Brown, and they're going to come together and have somebody else to distribute the ball and who can move well in transition. And Boston is going to be running the Eastern Conference.
I don't know. I think Boston may end up trading the pick, but we'll get into that for another day. Obviously, I think because I predicted this game, I thought Boston would win today. Actually, I thought they'd make threes. I am now convinced the Cavaliers' defense has been so good. We keep saying, well, Boston, they're just missing wide open threes. No, they're not just missing wide open threes. Well, they are, but the Cavs' defense has been so good. They're getting the shots. They're rushing them. They're thinking about it. I think that's the problem. The defense has been so good. Boston can't even get a decent shot attempt. That is sad. That's how good this Cavs defense has been. Tristan Thompson has been fantastic, and Kyrie Irving came up today getting to the basket to start the game. They're making threes. J.R. Smith's hitting shots, falling out of bounds at the buzzer of the first half. I mean, it's all going right for this Cavs team. I think it's safe to say this is going to be a sweep. There's no way in hell Boston's going to go into Cleveland. Even if Boston's hits 10, 15 threes, they're still going to lose. LeBron James has been fantastic. Another 30-point game. He didn't even play in the fourth quarter, I don't think. This series it's over. You can bring the brooms out. It's going to be a sweep. We're going to get Golden State, Cleveland again. It's just a matter of when. Well, we know when. I think June 2nd the final starts. Maybe it's June 1st. One of the first days in June. But that's what we're going to get. Hopefully tomorrow's, we got Golden State, we got San Antonio. Hopefully it's a competitive game. Kawhi Leonard hopefully will play. He's questionable right now. But I want to go in. Yesterday, the All-NBA team was announced. All three teams. And I'm going to give the teams here. And this is not – we're not going to debate like where I really want to take this is how some of the voters went. But first team was James Harden, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Anthony Davis. Second team was Steph, IT, KD, Antetokounmpo, Rudy Gobert. Then the third team was John Wall, DeMar DeRozan, Jimmy, Draymond Green, and DeAndre Jordan. Okay. Well, I want to say this real quick. I would have put Gobert on the first team. Anthony Davis made it. Okay, that it happens. I don't think that's too much. That's not necessarily a travesty of justice.
No, that's a travesty.
But here, you could make the argument. But here's my travesty of justice when I look at this. How in the hell did DeAndre Jordan make the third team? Please explain that to me. How did he make it over a guy like Karl Anthony Towns? Because we know the All-NBA team is not about what team won the most games. So, Gonzo, how does DeAndre Jordan make it over Karl Anthony Towns?
To be honest with you, I think it kind of offense is a big part of the All-NBA team. But I think in this case, which I think is totally kind of backwards, because I don't think it should be for wins, but I think they credit people more so for wins when it came to the All-NBA team.
Mm-hmm. And it's usually not like that. Yeah, and it's not ever like that.
But you got to look at the trend that the NBA is heading towards. The league, to me, in my opinion, is not competitive anymore until we get to the finals. We're probably willing to award an MVP because of stats as opposed to wins, and we're now choosing. Yeah. And now we're awarding all NBA teams because of wins as opposed to what they individually did throughout the course of the season. Everything is being turned around backwards now.
Yes, I was just about to say this has become ass backwards how we're giving these awards out now. If you you can win 47 games, average a triple-double, and be the MVP, but gosh, God forbid, in the All-NBA team, you're probably the best center in the NBA, but DeAndre Jordan plays for the Clippers, and he gets 2 blocks a game and 13 rebounds, so he's All-NBA third team over Towns. Obviously, Towns is the better player. He had the better season.
Yeah, but like I said, I think they're looking at wins because if you look at the Clippers made the playoffs, the Timberwolves didn't. But that kind of brings a question mark to me. Like, why is Anthony Davis on there? Like, I know he's good.
Like, even after the trade, he was the power forward most of the year, actually.
Yes.
But Grant, he can't be listed as a center. I get that. I get that. I don't have a problem with him making the first team because he is better than Rudy Gobert. But DeAndre Jordan is not better than Karl Anthony Towns. Hell, I could make the argument, how does he make it over Marc Gasol, right?
Absolutely. I don't understand that either. Marc Gasol should have probably been up there. But even with the Anthony Davis thing, yes, he's good, and he might be better than DeAndre Jordan. He might be one of the best power forward / centers in the NBA, but as good as he is, does it translate to wins on his Obviously not.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Byron, this all NBA argument here. Another argument here is DeMar DeRozan makes the third team, right? Everyone's saying you could have put, Paul George. Well, they're forwards, but Chris Paul could have made it over DeMar DeRozan. Klay Thompson even, because DeMar DeRozan is just like a glorified chucker, doesn't play much defense. What are your thoughts? Should Chris Paul should he have been on the third team over DeMar DeRozan? And let's not talk injuries because Chris Paul played as many games as Kevin Durant.
Well, yeah, I mean, I could see that he could very I think Klay, I'm not even a fan of this guy, and that's no secret, but I think Klay Thompson could have definitely been on there. If we're talking over DeMar DeRozan, both him and Chris Paul, absolutely.
Yes. And see, and it's sad because the way the contracts work now, obviously, because Paul George doesn't make it, because Gordon Hayward doesn't, they're not eligible for the super max now. Because and I think the NBA should do this with this all NBA team stuff, like the All-Star game. Let's just do a positionless thing. Let's not put the center. Let's just put the best 5 players, like they do really for the all-rookie team. There are no positions for you could put 5 centers on the all-rookie first team. Let's do that for the all-NBA teams. Put the best 15. Let the best 15 players make the team. I think that would be the best way to go. But here's my next gripe on this, and I'm going to you, Byron. Please explain to me. And everybody, I think Steph Curry is a better basketball player than Russell Westbrook. I would take him. I think most GMs in the NBA, damn near all of them would take Curry over Westbrook. But Westbrook had the better season. I know the stats were better to win, but how is it that Russell Westbrook, someone had him on the second team? You had some clown, 4 clowns had Kawhi Leonard on the All-NBA second team. One had him on the third team. Then you had some clown who put LeBron James on the second team. Byron, how is that possible? Do we need to change some of these voters? Should their voter card be restricted now? Do we need to replace them with another voter? If you put Kawhi Leonard on the third team?
I felt that way about like the MVP voting and the whole system. Like, I think they need to come up with something else because they're letting all these media outlets vote, and that's, I get it, but some of them are like ridiculously like biased and ridiculously delusional. Number one being Skip Bayless. It's just like, I don't, and with that being said, because they have that platform that they have, they can easily sway minds because they can go out there and advocate for somebody day in, day out, which was Skip Bayless was doing. And he does it in such a manipulative way that it makes you look a completely asinine decision, like a Westbrook for MVP, for example. So I mean, I think they need to come up with a new system and these things. And we did a podcast on this before, where I think it was you, Gonzo, and I. We were talking about, or you know what, y'all did it without me. I watched it. Talking about it being a numbers game, man. I'm really, really, really against that. I think James Harden, even though his play wasn't up to par in the postseason, I really felt like he should be MVP. I feel like he should be. First team NBA. I'm not saying Harden. It looked very like it looked questionable to me, But with that being said, it's like, how can you be in the MVP race and not be first, all NBA first team?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I mean, not everybody can make it, and there's people that make it every year, but we need new standards. And we need to change the voting system for all NBA awards.
Absolutely. Gonzo, I'm going to you because I thought I saw a couple of tweets from you today on this. Man, what's up with these voters? Kawhi Leonard, third team All NBA. How do you not put one voter puts LeBron on the second team? How is that? Do we need to find? Do they need to release publicly the names of these voters who did that? We need to know their names, I think.
Yeah, we do.
I don't say really know the names. I just think that the voting across the board in all major sports is gotten really ridiculous. It used to be a protocol to follow to when you vote. Like for baseball Hall of Fame or the NFL Hall of Fame, it used to be a protocol you had to have a certain accomplishment, whether it be a running back, you get 10,000 yards, uh, average 1,000 yards a season, have some type of criteria set for a person to be nominated to the Hall of Fame. Uh, it's and people take a lot of things personal when voting. And I'm going to give you an example real quick. Like nobody voted for Terrell Owens in the NFL because they don't feel like he wasn't media friendly. But his numbers say I was a heck of a player. But Brett Favre put up great numbers, but he might have been cool with the media. But the guy was sending exposing himself through cell phone pics to another woman when he was married. But everybody pick and chooses who they like and who they don't like, as opposed to saying, look, let's put all biases to the side. Let's forget about people's personalities. Forget about who never gave me an interview or reported to me when I asked for questions or anything. Let's just really look at his numbers and what did he do as an individual playing this game. People are taking personal reasons on why they don't vote for people. You know, I just like this guy better. Like, I'm gonna give you an example. Like, even for Russell Westbrook on the all first team to me, that's still kind of crazy to me because the guy averaged a triple double. He had 47 wins. Meanwhile, Steph Curry missed Kevin for a bulk of games in the second half. About 67 wins. He managed to average 25 points a game. I think rebounds, 6.6 assists, almost 50% from three, and like 40 something from 40 something for 40 plus for three, and like 45% from field goals. That doesn't warrant a first team to me. Steph still had a better season than Russell Westbrook to me.
And like you said, when KD went down, what the Warriors, what they go 6-17-4 when KD went down and Curry led that team. The argument can be made. I still and everybody knows I'm Curry's my guy. I probably still would have went Russ, but it was very close for me. It's very close. And the crazy thing is this. I don't judge my All-NBA team the way I do my MVP. Like Curry was third in my MVP voting. I would have had Curry third, but I would have had Russ ahead of him in All-NBA because I do my All-NBA and my MVP differently. You know, I put more winning into the MVP. All-NBA, I'll give it to Russ. I don't have a problem with that.
Like the Russell Westbrook thing. I talked about MVP, but he had a game-winning shot against Denver. And I mean, the internet went. He hit a three against Denver. Seriously? Like the amount of tweets that I saw because he hit a game-winning three against the Nuggets. It wasn't like he hit a game-winning three against the Spurs or the Warriors, who he consistently got beat. The Rockets, teams he got beat by this year. But he hit a three against the Nuggets, and that just sealed MVP vote for everybody.
I mean, he averaged a triple double. We knew this was going to happen. I mean, everybody who's been watching us since the beginning of the season, back like at the end of November, beginning of December, I said it. As long as the Thunder make the playoffs, if Russ averages a triple double, they could have been the 8th seed. He still would have been the MVP. The voters, the media was going to be. They were just going to be taken by it. Russ was going to win it no matter what, as long as he averaged a triple-double, and they made the playoffs. That's all they had to do. Make the playoffs, average a triple-double, you're the MVP. You know, I get it. I understand it. I think it puts us on a slippery slope now because let's say Giannis Antetokounmpo, he averages a triple-double, but the Bucks don't make the playoffs. Is he the MVP now? I mean, I think that's the problem. Are we going to give guys MVPs because they have the best stats? I think that's where we go here. Now, Russell Westbrook was fantastic. Yes, you can make, all that good stuff. I don't have a problem with him winning MVP. I don't think it's a travesty of justice. Some may. I don't. I think there were 5 definitely 5 guys who had an argument for MVP this year. Like I said, I'll give my list out now. 1 would have been Harden, 2 Kawhi, 3 Curry, 4 LeBron, 5 Russell Westbrook. That would have been how I did it. But, you know, it is what it is. That's what we got. But here's the big thing. Last couple days, you know, LaVar Ball went on Fox Sports 1. He went on Colin Cowherd's show. That's where the big thing happened. He was on Undisputed, you know, and they interviewed him. And let's go back here because Christine Leahy, I believe is how you say her name. She's with Colin Cowherd. She's in the little glass window thing in the back. For the last couple of weeks has really gone at LaVar Ball. And all of us have been very critical of LaVar Ball. He says a lot of nonsensical things, really stupid stuff, dumb shit that we don't agree with, right? We all agree. I mean, I could beat Michael one-on-one. You know, Lonzo's better than Steph Curry, all that nonsense. But she's been going at him, questioning how he raises his kids, okay? So he's on FS1 a couple days ago. And, you know, he's talking to Colin Cowherd, and they're asking him about the sneakers. And he's like, how many have you sold? You know, so, you know, I've sold a few, you know. And Christine, like, well, how many have you sold? And he just puts his hands up. He says, you know, basically tells her, you know, stay in your lane. So she gets bent out of shape and this and that. And she's like, well, why? How many sneakers? You know, this and that. I'm a reporter, this and that. Stay in your lane. You are a hater. You know, and so this big deal is made about, and then he says, you know, you're going to get what's coming to you. That's not, and she says, oh, you're threatening me now? That is not a threat. It's called karma. You were talking about my boys. You're talking about how I'm raising my kids, right? You talk about how this man is raising his kids, and then you expect him to be nice to you. He has no, you know, this guy has no, he doesn't have to talk to you. You disrespected him, and now you're commanding respect. I think it's a bunch of nonsense, and she's playing the victim now. Oh, he was so disrespectful to me, this and that. It's a bunch of crap. You know, and like I said, I've been very critical of some of the things LaVar Ball has said, but I got to defend him on this one. She set him up. It was a complete setup to make him look like a fool, and I think he bodied her. He owned her in this one. Byron, I got to get your comments on this, man. Do you think it was a setup, and how do you think LaVar Ball handled it?
Let me I've been waiting for this one. This is what I got to say. You know, like, I don't agree with everything LaVar does, some of his antics. I think that he comes off as very arrogant and sometimes idiotic in the things that he says. He's a filter. Why he has no filter, lacks wisdom. But what I will say is this: tell anybody how to parent their kids. Like, first of all, is she even a parent?
No, I believe I believe she does not have kids.
She's entitled to her opinion, but you can't tell another man how to parent his kids. Like, for example, like, you know what I mean? If I don't have kids, so I can't tell.
You can't tell Gonzo, exactly.
How to raise his. Like, oh,
and let me throw this out real quick. Let me throw this out there real quick. By all accounts, Lonzo, LiAngelo, LaMelo, they're all very nice young men. They all make good decisions. They're not in the streets doing dumb things. So how can you question how this man is raising his kids? They respect their dad.
Is that the end of your rant?
Yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, but I think that, you know, me not being a parent, I shouldn't have. I can have an opinion all day long. I think she kind of crossed her boundaries, you know, for one. And he said something that was super, like, be ignorant. Like, they were talking to him. One interviewer asked him, "Well, what if your kids say, what don't you think that you're a detriment to your kids?" And he said something like, "See, oh, what if your kids say, 'Dad, cool'?" They say, "Oh, they ain't gonna tell me. See, us black folks, we different. We don't allow our kids to tell us this and that. We tell our kids what to do and blah, 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 blah." And I was like, wow. You know, when I saw that, I was like, man, that came off as super, super ignorant. Like, even if I felt that way, I wouldn't have verbalized. I wouldn't have verbalized it like that. on TV. On TV. But then he also made another interesting point. He was like, he was like, you know, they were like, well, your son isn't anything like you. And he was like, well, he better not be. He's raised in Chino Hills. I'm from South Central. So, of course, he's not going to be like me. But people say a lot of things about parents like LaVar Ball and Matthew Knowles and like, you know, Britney Spears' mom and
Michael Jackson's pops.
Yeah, and Joe Jackson. But, I mean, you can say Michael Jackson is a tragedy, but he's still the greatest artist of all time. You know, the highest grossing artist. Thriller still holds the record. He's a legend. You know, it's really up to the individual, the choices they make. I'm not saying that parenting cannot have good or bad parenting, cannot have lasting effects on the child that carry over into adulthood. I'm not saying that, but Michael Jackson was never in jail, nor was Tito, nor was Jermaine, nor was Beyonce, nor was Solange. I mean, they're quite successful.
Yeah, nor was Lonzo, nor has LaMelo, LiAngelo, none of them.
I don't know them personally to talk about their character. Now, here's the part I have with Shorty. When are you threatening me and you doing this? Man,
playing the victim.
Not even playing victim. It's just like, you know, I know this is gonna be online or whatever, and you know,
go ahead, say it. That's what we're here for.
I just gotta keep it G, man. I gotta keep it all the way, you know, 100. It's like when a black man is assertive and confident, you know what I mean? It always comes off as like, oh, he's a threat, or you know, it's always like it's always viewed as a threat, or he's this or he's that. There's always something negative to say. Because LaVar Ball is not passive and he wasn't gonna take her crap. It's like now we got to vilify him and make him look bad.
Absolutely.
He's a black man, you know what I mean? And it's like, and she's Caucasian. So it almost sends the message. It's like, you know, you have to be subordinate to her because she's a white woman and you're a black man in America. Like that's the message it's sending. And then the messed up thing was like, you know, to me, she's no different than Tammy Lauren. But look what happened to her. It was like she voiced her opinions on black people. She made a lot of insensitive comments about black people and other ethnic groups, right? But when it came down between her and a white man, what happened to her? Look at her now. You know what I'm saying? Where is she now? You understand what I'm saying?
She lost her job.
Right. So it's almost like they're expecting a hierarchy. It's like, okay, you know, black man can't defend himself, you know, against white woman, and then white woman can't defend herself against white man. It's just like the whole thing about it just looks really, really like 2 centuries ago, and not even that. It looks like, you know, real pre-civil rights America. You know what I mean? Like pre-civil rights movement America. It's just like they want a passive, like, yes, I'm massa. You know what I mean?
Hey, you know what, Byron? I'm glad you said that, and I'm gonna jump on, and I agree with you.
I'm not done.
No, I know this.
I'm not done.
Go ahead.
I'm not done. And another thing, it looked just like a scene out of that movie. What's the movie that Get Out? You know what I mean? Like the way it was almost like, oh, are you threatening me now? It was just like that last scene of that movie Get Out, when the police come and she's like, help me, he's trying to kill me, but really that's his boy working for TSA. Spoiler alert. You know what I mean? It's just like saying, like, it's the same mentality almost. Like, okay, I said some things that offended this man. Now he's saying some things that are offending me. So now I have to make it look like he's threatening me. When all he said was like, you're going to get what's coming to you. Now, what he should have said was, hey, I'm not talking to you. I'm not addressing you. You made some comments that were offensive to me. You're going to reap what you sow. I don't have to talk to you. That's how he could have said it. You know what I mean? But
he did say I'm here to talk to Colin, not you.
But it's his prerogative to say it how he wants to say it, because you know, there's a constitution with amendments, you know, and he can say how he wants to say it. That's how I see it. You know, I didn't see anything threatening to her. It was just that she thought she was going to square him off. He wasn't having it. He spoke his piece to her on national TV, and that was that. Now, let's say JJ Redick's dad said that, or you know, or one of the, or this was a different topic. This was like the Manning. What's Eli and Peyton? Let's say
Archie.
Let's say it was him. Would it be as publicized or scrutinized as it is?
Absolutely not.
And I'm not, you know, and I'm not one. You know me.
Hey, Byron, real quick. This is where I have to jump in because as everybody can see, because I'm on video here, I'm white as a motherfucking ghost. You're absolutely right. It's true. If this were, it's like the Mike Vick thing. If it were Tom Brady or Peyton Manning fighting dogs, that wouldn't have been a story. It would have been a story, but it would have blown over in a day. Nobody would have gave a damn. There would have been no jail. I don't think there would have been jail time.
Well,
there would not have been jail time.
It would have been scrutinized, but at the same time,
but no jail time.
Look at Roethlisberger. I mean, like, or I call him Ruthless Burger. I mean, look at him. Look at him. And what happened to him? I mean, it was just swept under the rug. I mean, he wasn't suspended, nothing. And I'm not defending Ray Rice, but that's a more serious offense or accusation, you know, than what Ray Rice did to his wife. But he stayed, so that tells me something else too. You know, so I'm just speaking my piece on it, man. I just think, like, when you see a black man in America that's assertive, that's not passive, he's a threat. There's always a problem, and that's not the case. He's highly confident. He's pretty. I would even say, in some scenarios, some cases, arrogant. But it's his prerogative, man. His kids seem to be good kids.
Absolutely.
For God's sakes, and people are calling him a racist. He can't be that racist. His wife is whiter than you. You know?
Hey, so, exactly. I'm going to you now, Gonzo. And we're going to get to Whitlock after this. We're going to go to the Whitlock thing with Charlemagne the God. We're going to get there, everybody. But I'm curious to see you, Gonzo. What did you think of this whole thing with Christine Leahy and Lonzo Ball? You know, was it a setup? That's what it looked like to me. They tried to set the dude up and make him look really bad, and he clapped back, and they didn't like it.
First of all, I think LaVar Ball made a mistake is he didn't sign with a major shoe company. So pretty much what he did was he denied corporate slavery. Second of all, really, he's assertive in his mind. That makes him a threat. And then he spoke back, and he pretty much put a woman in her place who happened to be a Caucasian female. It's like 3 no-nos for a black man about America. And I know this is our country, and the only way we're going to get over the racial divide, because somehow this has spilled over to racism if you read a lot of the comments subject, we got to realize 2 things about America. America's never really been about black folks being free, in my opinion. It's always been about getting black folks quiet. I'll give you an example real quick, just a brief history. Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King, well, especially Martin Luther King, he spoke up for civil rights. He wanted black people to have the right to vote. And that didn't look real good to people, to the people outside of the country, that America claims to be so great, but they have this racial divide within itself. So Martin Luther King what he wants, just to get him quiet. So they gave him the Voting Rights Act, and he thought he was going to stop there. Martin Luther King kept persisting, speaking against war, speaking against the banking industry. Ultimately, he ended up dead. They got him quiet one way or another. Malcolm X, the same thing. He speaks up, points. Ultimately, he ends up dead. Marcus Garvey, he speaks up about black people building themselves up without the help of white America. Ultimately, he was exiled from the country. Tulsa, Oklahoma, June 6th of 1921. It was a small community of like 3,000 black people who had their own stores, doctors, lawyers, police department, fire department, churches, meat markets. The black dollar circulated within Tulsa, Oklahoma. $1 would stay in the community for 30 days, as opposed to now, the average dollar stays in the black community for 8 hours and is out of the black community. That whole town was bombed. People were pulled out of their houses. To this day, they're still digging up bodies from 1921 Tulsa, Oklahoma. So even when black people try to do something for themselves, ultimately they're going to be silenced or they're going to be forced to be quiet one way or another. Now, back to the Lavar Ball case. The point I'm trying to make is that through history, whenever you seem to be a black man who stands up for yourself, it's a problem. I think the biggest problem she made was, and I think why he was really upset, and we know LeVar Ball says a lot of foolish things. I think he says a lot of foolish things due to the fact that he's marketing himself. I can't tell you that my son is less than Steph Curry and I'm trying to sell you a shoe for $500. I can't do that. It's not good marketing. For $500, I got to make you believe that my son is greater than Michael Jordan. Because guess what? You have to buy it. He has to sell it. So a lot of the foolishness he says is for selling purposes. And trying to build his brand. I applaud him for trying to do it on his own, but I think the biggest mistake she made is when she started talking about how Alonzo seemed very scared. He seemed like he was an abused child. He questioned LeVar's parenting skills. Well, first of all, Alonzo went to UCLA. Never had any trouble from him, LaMelo or LiAngelo. That's one. The two youngest boys, they're going to be attending UCLA with scholarships. Alonzo's going to be a starting point guard eventually in the NBA. So you can't question his parenting skills because they don't seem like they're going astray. You can't say that he hates women because
they're not getting into trouble.
Exactly. Then you can't say that he doesn't have respect for women because obviously he has some respect for women because he's married to his wife and they've been married since before Alonzo was probably born, and all of his kids are by the same woman. Like he said his wife played basketball, he played basketball. They're one. They've always been on one accord with each other. So I don't see that. I think the common thing what you see is a lot of times too, when a black man is assertive and stands up for himself too, is that or seems to be a threat in some way. I think that we always get this. We seem to get a white woman sometimes who's always this damsel in distress. They always pull this card like, "Are you threatening me?" No, he's not threatening. He's talking about karma. Like you know that. He pulled that card on purpose because that's to get the media to turn against him. See, the media.
Gonzo, let me. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I meant by that looking like a scene out of that movie Get Out. Exactly what you just said. Like now, let me get everybody on my side. Oh, you threatening me now? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm glad you brought this up, Gonzo, because this is going to segue into the last part of this discussion before we're done tonight. And I'm going to let you take it from here, Gonzo, because you're best at breaking this down better than I would be. I want to go at we know Whitlock from Fox Sports 1. Charlemagne the God on the Breakfast Club really went at Christine Leahy. She was the donkey of the day and that stuff. Then of course Whitlock defends his co-worker, and so Charlemagne the God he made Whitlock's now the donkey of the day for with Charlemagne the God. Gonzo, please explain why Charlemagne the God was 100% correct in what he said about Jason Whitlock.
Jason Whitlock, he notices that Jason Whitlock, he always comes to the white supremacist agenda. And I'm going to give you an example. Colin Kaepernick stands up, he chooses not to stand for the national anthem because he says that there's police brutality among minorities. Jason Whitlock gets up and says, "Oh, Colin Kaepernick is a fraud." He said that Serena Williams wasn't a great athlete or something like that. She's only successful because she parades her thick body around on a tennis court. He also said that LeBron James came up with a commercial called Equality, and he said LeBron James I think he either said he was being phony or he said vegan on this because he makes $1 to play a game, so he's not the right person to speak on this. And whole purpose for what he said today was whenever there's racism, whether you're white or black, racism to end, and you want to see change in America, it's each person's individual duty to check racism before it starts. Like myself, I'm giving you an example with me real quick. I hate when I'm working with people and they say, all white people are this way. That's a lie. That's not true. You can't categorize every white person to be racist. That's just not true. And quite honestly, it's just not fair. Because guess what? You would want to pull you over to say every black guy's a criminal and shoot us all. So racism, when you see it start to happen. What Jason Whitlock doesn't do, he doesn't check the racism or check the right people when he should. He's always talking negative about the black people who are always trying to do something positive. So Charlemagne just pretty much checked him and brought up video clips of everything Jason Whitlock said and told him he needs to stop. He needs to stop cooning. He really needs to stop.
He said he needs to respect himself because he eats too much.
I was trying not to go there. I was trying not to use
Go ahead, Byron, go ahead.
I was like, man, let me just keep it like, you know what I mean? Like, but I'm in complete agreement. Like, you look at a guy like Chris Miller, who went out of his way to defend John Wall. And I think, like, right is right and wrong is wrong. You know, no matter what. I agree with Gonzo. It's like, the thing with me is, it sounds cliche, like, well, I don't see color. Well, man, I have people of all different races that come and visit my house. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. Asian, the Latino, you know, you name it. I have all different type of people. And like, for example, you, Matt.
Yeah, man. Hey, we're like, for everybody who doesn't, me and Byron are like brothers.
We are brothers.
I'm white as a ghost. He's, you know, he's dark as an oil spot. So what?
Well, you should see. That's going to offend a lot of black people that are watching.
That's all right, man. Hey,
you could have said a chocolate bomb. You know what I mean? But see, you can say that to me, and I'm not offended.
You know? And that's why our listeners are going to hear and they're gonna like, oh, they're going to get it.
But at the same time, it's just like, I don't look at you as like my white friend. You know what I'm saying? Like, there comes a point in time, like Jesse Williams is an actor who's biracial, and he said a lot of real things, and he took a lot of criticism for it. He's on Grey's Anatomy, but I think he was spot on in some of the things he was saying, because he was like, you know, him being biracial, and he knows how people. He's like, I hear black people talk bad about white people and how they think, and I've heard white people talk bad about blacks, and he was like, the problem is people aren't exposed to different races and cultures, and that's why they have these defenses, and that's why they're ignorant, and they have these preconceptions, and they have these and they believe these stereotypes about these people. And with what's the guy's name? You know, Whitlock. I think like what LaVar said about him was funny. I thought I was cracking up. It sounds like something I would have said if somebody. Really.
Hey! Speaking from experience, that is something Byron would have said.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody like would have pissed me off in the way that he did. But here's what I have to say. I mean, I think that I have to agree with Gonzo. I think that he perpetuates it, you know, by tap dancing. It's like him being the only black guy on that show. I don't know if that's his way of like fitting in, or if he doesn't want to oppose anybody and be the unpopular person. He always takes a very, very, very approach and recognition to the people that he needs to give it to. And I don't know if that's because
I think Gonzo hit it on the head. He's a coon.
Well, I'm not even going.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know if that's because, or he's lost sight of who he really is because he's coming to money. You know what I mean?
Man, he lost sight of he can't. Man, how can he? Man, he can't see nothing. He's fat. Man, he eats too much.
I tell you one thing he ain't lost sight of is where the buffet is. But
he needs to stay away from the Kit Kats.
But at the same time, like honestly, it's not my thing to get on this show and talk badly about people because, you know, because I think here's a problem I have with him. It's the same problem, not to stray too far, but it's the same problem I have with like a guy like Funkmaster Flex or even Joe Buttons, because I'm tired of seeing people tear other people down. That's one of my biggest.
And you know what? Before you go on, this is Byron put this tweet out the other day on this topic. So go ahead, Byron.
I mean, especially with black people who have come into success, it's like, why? And white people do it too, but it's like, why do why do we have to be so jealous of one another? And why do we have to talk bad and try to drag people down? Like, for example, like Joe Budden said something about L.A. Reid. L.A. Reid was, over Epic Records, and he stepped down. And then later on, the day after, allegations came out that, he had somebody filed sexual harassment on him. Then Joe Budden comes out and said, oh, yeah, well, I was at, when I was at Def Jam, he used to do this. He used to have women come in and do sexual favors for him and blah, 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 blah. But it's like, why would you say that about him? Because the real issue is you didn't like how your career was handled under his regime. So now you have to go and put him down. That's not something that you publicly say. If you have a beef with that man about your career, you handle that with him. Because if we're in the street, you know what I'm saying? If we're just in the streets, like, let's just be real. If I'm on the south side of Houston and I got a problem with somebody else, we gonna meet up and we're gonna have words about it, whatever. It might come to blows. I doubt it will come to gunshots. But you know what I mean? It's like if there was no fame involved and you sent something out via social media, when you see that person, it's gonna be an issue. You will be confronted. You know what I mean? And it's just like, I see that too much. We have to stop bringing people down. The people that Whitlock criticizes, they have all surpassed him. Even Lonzo Ball, who has not played a minute of NBA basketball, Whitlock will never accomplish and achieve.
And it came out that a lot of people Whitlock was trying to work with, with ESPN. Nobody wanted to work with him, man, because of these same reasons that he does. I mean, and how can you take a guy seriously who said LaMarcus Aldridge was a top 3 player in the NBA? Get out of here. How can you take a dude seriously like that?
He plays his role. People say the same things about Stephen A. Smith, that he's a coon or he's this and that, and they call him all the derogatory names like Uncle Tom, whatever. But what I will say is this: when it came down to when he didn't agree with Skip Bayless, he wasn't passive in agreeing with him. And if Skip Bayless, because we know Skip Bayless is, I don't know what vendetta he has against LeBron James, but he's always saying something negative about LeBron. And Skip wasn't. And Stephen A. Smith wasn't having it. Whitlock is what they want LeVar Ball to be. Yes, a massa.
He's a coon. He's a coon.
I'm not gonna say that because
I'll say it. He's a coon.
Yeah, y'all say it for me because I don't know where I'll be. You know what I mean?
Byron, come on, Byron. You're not gonna be like Whitlock. You're not gonna be a coon.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that, like, just like how LeVar said to that woman, like, "Hey, you're gonna get what's coming to you." I'm not planting any seeds because when that tree grows, I'm gonna have to eat that fruit. So I'm just saying, like, I don't want to make derogatory remarks about people because it's going against everything I'm saying right now. As far as people in position tearing each other down, it's like I'm not where they are, but let's say like my career does go in a different direction and I achieve some level, greater levels.
And you have that platform.
People are gonna have all kinds of opinions about you. You cannot please everybody, and I'm not a people pleaser. But I'm just saying, like, for example, we'll use Curry, and we're all kind of guilty of it because his wife has said some things that were like, yo, if you don't stop, you know what I mean? But people are tearing down his family. Why, though? They're attacking his kid. Why? Let's be real. We're all guilty of it on this podcast, but let's be real. You know what I mean? They seem to be a pretty model family. I mean, they're Christians, they go to church, they seem very loving and affectionate. They cook together. Like, why so much hatred towards them? You know what I mean? And it goes back to that same thing I'm talking about. Is like, I'm tired. People need to stop. And like I said, Whitlock is no different than Funkmaster Flex. The stuff he's doing, tearing people down, tearing Drake down, tearing Tupac Shakur down, who's not here to defend himself. It's like, why must you do that? Why must you go out of your way to try and tear someone else down? Like, it makes you look, in return, it makes you look worse than the person you're trying to tear down. And I have to, and not to stray too far, because it's related. I have to applaud and commend Drake for not putting himself on a level of Master Flex, because he surpassed him in career-wise, and he's still successful. And usually the people that are most critical, like even a Skip Bayless, he's pretty successful. But all the people that he criticizes on a daily basis, he will never achieve the amount of success that they have. Whitlock will never be as successful as a Serena Williams. He will never be as successful as a Colin Kaepernick. And he's not even using his voice. Go ahead, Gonzo.
I just want to get this out to the viewers and it's just something simple. It won't be too long. I think I want the world and everybody who listens to social media, and if you listen to any media outlet, if you listen to this podcast, I think racism, and I think that's what a lot of stuff boils down to, and it's so heavily embedded in the fibers of America. Like, it's even got to the point where this LaVar Ball and this ladies incident, it has leaked over into racism. This is my honest view on racism. I think racism is a diversion. I think it's a diversion to keep black people mad at whites. The whites who are racist, I think it's a diversion to keep them mad at blacks, Hispanics, and people that are not like themselves. I think it's a diversion to keep the Hispanics.
And real quick, and this is why the rise of someone like Donald J. Trump.
Let Gonzo finish.
Exactly. But I think it's a diversion. I think it's a diversion to keep us all bickering one another. Because the truth of the matter is, I think the rich who really run the world, I think that's the way they stay rich and they stay on top, by keeping us bickering and fighting with each other over petty stuff. About race. First of all, we all eat, we all sleep, we all have to use the bathroom, we all have to work, we all want love, we all want family, we all want liberty. We got more things in common besides this skin color. Because let's be honest, when it all boils down to it, we all bleed. Everything about us is pretty much the same. We just different shades, different tones, and come from different places. But we're really the same. We're not really race by color. We're a human race.
Exactly. We all live on the
planet.
None
of this color stuff really matters. It's like I said, it's all a diversion to keep us bickering. Because the truth of the matter is, I believe this. This is just my opinion. I believe that if we all put aside the racism and we figure out how to help one another, we can eventually take over this world, the next one, the next world after that, the next world after that. Because I think that whole diversion is to keep us in the mind state we're in, so the rich can keep getting over on us.
Absolutely. And see, I want
divide and conquer. You know what I mean? Divide them all.
Absolutely.
And,
absolutely.
And back to let me just say this, man. Like, because I didn't think the podcast was gonna get here, get where we are. I just think that one of my biggest issues with the internet is that it gives so many people a platform. Most of the people who will never voice these opinions in their everyday life. It is given because there's no face. They can't always put a face to it. Anybody can log in and be whoever they are. I mean, whoever they want to be and it's not who they really are. And they perpetuate these things. I just feel like, we know what we're getting with LaVar Ball. I mean, he's showing us what he is. He's very outspoken. He's telling us what's on his mind, and you have to give him credit for his vision. You have to let them raise his kids the way he wants to raise his kids. They're very humble. They're very mannerable, and they're successful not only in academics but athletics too. And they haven't been in any trouble. You haven't heard anything. Let their kids, all of them.
They're all good young men.
And as far as what's her name?
Christine Leahy.
Yeah, she was really trying to attack him and bring him down, and make a fool out of him, and he did not allow her to do it. And that's what it is. And she flipped it, and now the internet has made it a bigger issue than what it really is. They've they magnified something that was very, very like small. They magnified it.
Absolutely.
I
Now,
don't have any further comments on that.
that's all right, man. See, I thought this was an important topic, and I knew it would take the longest of all our topics today because obviously, all the things are going on. Obviously, on FS1, they're defending Christine Leahy. It's indefensible. It's very true. But also everything we're seeing going on around us, the rise of our president, Donald Trump, who absolutely has to be stopped. We're seeing all these things go on, the hatred that happened during his campaign and all this. And, it's not even about Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, all that stuff. Just do what's right. And that's why I wanted to talk about this because I think it's important and not enough outlets are talking about this. And, yeah, I know we don't have 1 million followers and viewers or anything like that. But the viewers that we do reach, I think they need to hear this stuff, instead of the nonsense that if you watch FS1, you're going to see these guys like Whitlock and shame on Broussard for not stepping up and saying something about this. He knows this lady was wrong, and I think it's time we as technically, yeah, maybe we're not the biggest, but we're still media. We need to speak out on it. If someone's wrong, we need to tell them they're wrong so that it doesn't happen again. It's our job to say, hey, you know what? I don't have any, I don't know you personally, but you're wrong for that. Let's try to do better. Gonzo hit it. Byron, you guys have all said all the good things, the Colin Kaepernick stuff. Whitlock went in on him. How dare you, Whitlock? That's not you. Colin Kaepernick put his money where his mouth is. This dude was donating to charities. He was donating money to the cause. So how dare you question him and he's a fraud. His career, he's a backup now. So now all of a sudden he wants to say, nah, he put his money where his mouth is. So please, what have you done, Jason? What have you done, Whitlock? Where's your money gone?
He's still without a job right now
because he absolutely got blackballed. And obviously we talk NBA here for sports, but it's relevant. He got blackballed. I believe that he's never going to play in the NFL again. It's a shame. He's not a great player, but he doesn't. There's talk about Johnny Manziel getting a second shot. And I like Johnny Manziel, but if he gets a second shot, how come Colin Kaepernick? Colin Kaepernick took his team to the Super Bowl, but he can't get a second chance.
What about homeboy that was cursing out the black people and calling them the N-word who played for the Eagles?
Oh, what's his name?
Gonzo.
Cooper. Yeah, Riley Cooper. Yeah, he'll get a second chance.
He's still playing in the league, I think.
Exactly. He gets chances, but why can't Colin Kaepernick? You know what I mean? It's a problem that we have. We're an extremely divided country in these current times, and I'm going to end it with this. I put this on Twitter. I'm sure I put it on Facebook as well, even though I don't use Facebook. But all these things going on in the country, these things going on with Trump and everything, we're all divided, but we're losing faith in the system. And the biblical prophecies are going to come true. And I usually don't get biblical with things because I know sometimes the Bible stuff offends people. I don't care. But the biblical prophecies are coming true. We are setting the stage for the Antichrist. Trump, we don't trust him. He's lying. Now it's going to come out. Nobody's going to trust anybody. It's the stage is being set for the Antichrist to come.
He's already here, bro.
Yeah, and take over because nobody trusts anybody anymore. We don't trust the government. We don't trust politicians. So now we are setting the stage for the Antichrist to come and do his thing, and that or her, whoever it is, and that's just wrong, and that's sad. We can't. Gonzo said it perfectly. We all basically, we're all human beings. We all live on the planet Earth. We all bleed the same blood, the same color blood. Who cares? But we're worried in this, oh man, the Mexicans, the Muslims, this and that. Stop it. Let's all do the right thing. And that's why I wanted to talk about this. All these things are happening and we can make this change. We can stop all these prophecies from coming true, but we all have to do our part, and that's why I wanted to talk about this. Usually, we don't go this deep into the politics and the social issues, but sometimes I think we have to, especially with this platform, we can reach people. And I think it's important, But we will be back tomorrow. You know, we got Golden State, we got San Antonio, and also we're going to have a little debate. Byron, I know Gonzo, Byron, you guys will be back again tomorrow, hopefully. I want to do this little debate because I saw a tweet yesterday. Buddy Hield and D'Angelo Russell, the higher upside, who's going to be the better player. So I want to talk about that tomorrow because I think it's a good, interesting topic. But hopefully, obviously, we had more blowouts again tonight. The Monstars won a game. But we will be back tomorrow. Game is, 9 o'clock Eastern time is the game time. So it'll be a little later. But we will be back tomorrow. Everybody enjoy your evening, get enough sleep. And we'll be back tomorrow.